The 2025 season is approaching a pivotal point. Amidst the intense competition for the title, the fierce duel between Max Verstappen and Lando Norris at the Miami Grand Prix is more than just a race. It reveals a truth that has been hidden, or perhaps deliberately obscured. It reveals a complex psychological dynamic that Oscar Piastri can exploit. How will Piastri exploit this situation? Let's discuss. The path to the 2025 Formula One World Championship should be easy for Max Verstappen, the four-time defending champion. However, after 6 rounds, the power map has changed. Red Bull Racing, which was unbeatable last season, is now faltering. The RB21 has failed to meet expectations. The once feared car has slipped from its dominant position. Verstappen remains the only threat, overcoming technical deficiencies to deliver extraordinary performances, such as securing pole position in Japan and achieving an unexpected victory over a faster McLaren. However, this season is not as good as last year. Verstappen has no points buffer to help him survive in the standings. With a 32-point deficit to the leaders, his hopes now rest on a miracle, a radical Red Bull overhaul or a sudden McLaren decline. Even without the title, however, Verstappen remains the deciding variable, especially if the championship fight narrows down to an internal McLaren duel, Piastri versus Norris. In Miami, the duel between McLaren and Verstappen created a stark narrative. Piastri was composed, precise, and clinical. Norris was fast and talented, but not as sharp as his teammate when he was up against Verstappen. Piastri closed in on Verstappen on lap 8, piercing the defending champion's defenses with efficiency. He read every opening, played a patient game, and forced Verstappen to make a mistake, a lock-up at turn 1 that cost him a position and ultimately the win. Norris, by contrast, was involved in a riskier duel. Contact on the first lap caused him to fall back. His overtake at turn 11 went too wide. He had to reverse his next move after going off the track. His third attempt finally paid off, but by then, he was already too far ahead of Piastri. Norris showed technical brilliance when he passed George Russell in the first sector, proving his talent is undeniable. However, in a head-to-head duel with Verstappen, he was overshadowed once again. Martin Brundle summed it all up in one sharp, meaningful sentence: Max knows Oscar is a different opponent. It wasn't just a compliment, it was an admission. Verstappen, known for not giving anyone space on the track, seemed more cautious when facing Piastri. There was an unusual caution. It was an instinctive alertness, as if Max knew full well that Piastri was not the type of driver who would back down without a fight. This was different from his history with Lando Norris, which has been filled with too much drama and hurt. From Austria 2024 to Austin to Mexico, there has been tension between them. In each of those duels, Max always controlled the dynamics. Despite his talent, Norris often got caught up in Verstappen's rhythm. But Piastri was a different story altogether. He has no old wounds from his duel with the world champion. That is precisely his strength. He has no baggage, trauma, or old patterns that Max can exploit. In Miami, he proved that he's more than just a fast driver who shines every now and then. He performed like a modern gladiator, calm, precise, and undaunted by pressure. In that race, Oscar Piastri proved he is not just a threat but a genuine contender for the world title. After Miami, Norris showed signs of frustration. He complained, "That's how it is with Max, crash or don't pass." This could be interpreted as an attempt to blame Verstappen, or it could reflect his own inability to control the duel. In reality, however, Verstappen is simply driving his own style. He won't give any space, especially this early in the season, and Norris knows it. However, precisely because he knows, the pressure takes a mental toll. Behind the glitz of the Formula One track, a striking contrast emerges from inside the McLaren garage. Two young drivers, Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri, are slowly shaping their narratives, which stem not only from their standings but also from how they approach the world, both on and off the track. They are both talented and intelligent and carry the hope of the team's future, but they have chosen very different paths in responding to the pressures of life and the harsh world of racing. Norris is known as a racer who is not afraid to open up. He chose to be open with the public, revealing his true self, including his vulnerable side and his inner struggles. In several interviews, he openly admitted that, unlike previous world champions, he does not have a killer instinct. He wants to win the world title without sacrificing his humanity. He wants to win without changing who he is. In the world of professional sports, which often demands absolute perfection and impeccable competitiveness, such a statement sounds fresh, even bold. Norris seems to want to prove that empathy, honesty, and self-awareness can coexist with great ambition. This is a very relevant approach in an era when mental health is being increasingly highlighted in athletics. However, the path he took is not without risk. In a competitive high-pressure world like Formula One, opening up means creating opportunities for others to read, analyze, and criticize you. F1 legend Alain Prost has expressed concerns about this tendency. "The more you show yourself, the more vulnerable you become," Prost said in an interview. "I respect Lando, but if I could give him some advice, I would tell him to be quieter." For Prost, silence is a strategy to protect himself from expectations that can erode focus and mental toughness, not just about not talking. On the other hand, Oscar Piastri is the opposite of Norris. He is quiet and calm and almost never provokes controversy off the track. He approaches his career like a samurai. He is focused and measured and is not easily affected by the media frenzy. He doesn't talk much, doesn't express his emotions, and doesn't give the public a chance to see his weaknesses. In that silence, he builds his own toughness. Piastri seems to have learned a lesson from the previous generation. Sometimes, the greatest strength lies in keeping secrets. Even though he's not as phenomenal as Verstappen or Norris in the public spotlight, he continues to ride calmly, like waves slowly but surely eroding coral. On the same team, these two philosophies go hand in hand. One is honest with the world, the other keeps it close. Perhaps time will tell which approach is more effective in reaching the top. But one thing is for sure, Formula One is not just about who is the fastest, but also about who can best withstand pressure, both external and internal. Max Verstappen remains the center of attention this season, whether he's fighting for the title or maintaining the lead. He is an unavoidable figure and the last wall that anyone who wants to hold the world champion's crown must break through. Verstappen remains a formidable gatekeeper at the front. For McLaren, the road to glory must pass through him. So far, Oscar Piastri has shown impressive composure. Not only is he fast, but he is also as cold and precise as a machine. Even Verstappen, who rarely gives compliments, admitted as much. He is very solid. He gives his all when needed and makes almost no mistakes. This is a significant comment coming from a world champion who knows how difficult it is to perform at the highest level. Meanwhile, Lando Norris is on a long journey to find answers about who he really is, where his limits lie, and how to compete with someone like Verstappen without sacrificing his principles and identity. Behind his easy smile is an unfinished battle. McLaren's battle this season is not just about speed on the track. It is a psychological duel, a test of consistency, and a mental battle to survive under incredible pressure. Who can keep their cool when everyone else starts to falter? Who can take a step forward when the world is waiting for a mistake? Verstappen has tested the limits of both, and in doing so, a small crack has slowly begun to open. It's a small crack that could grow into a chasm. Can Oscar Piastri use this momentum to overtake Norris and challenge Verstappen for the top spot in Formula One? Share your thoughts below.